It's always kind of hilarious to me. It's one of the funny things that I see in tech channels talking about augmented reality when they bring up things like, we want that Iron Man kind of experience or Terminator vision, which those things aren't really even augmented reality. Like most of what you see in Iron Man is mixed reality. Hey there, this episode of Some Gadget Guy is brought to you by you. Yes, you, because you're awesome. All of the amazing people sharing content across social media and the incredible generosity of my patrons at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More info on those amazing nerds later in the video. Yeah, that's the deal with companies like Apple kind of sucking all the air out of the room. They've had 13 years of unearned hype to try and show off some kind of face computer. You might have missed that there are other companies doing really cool work in this space. We know those larger YouTube channels are only gonna make money focusing on the most popular topics that get the most search engine traffic all on their own, but outside of Ray-Ban Meta and Apple's mixed reality headset, there are real products that you can buy and use today. They've been around for years. You've been missing out on years of amazing experiences. So what we're doing in this video is just a quick little primer on some of the different technologies that we can put on your face to display an image out in front of you. It's a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of history. I'm doing this right off the top of my head. I don't even have a script that I'm looking at. I've just been really passionate about this space for the last 13 years. It's been a little lonely. Face computing. We have a couple different things that we're trying to achieve when we put displays in front of our eyes. We can look for practical delivery of information like notifications and alerts, and then we can also look for things that are entertaining and immersive. Obviously, the most immersive solution is gonna be something like a virtual reality headset, but you're definitely not gonna wear one of those all day. And honestly, we're still working out for different head sizes, different face shapes, different eye distance, how to make those more comfortable for a broader swath of humanity. I really think the entire tech industry has missed out on a market of tech devices that are daily wear and practical. We keep trying to impress people with the coolest, richest AR experiences, and then we'll figure out how to make them smaller and sleeker and have better battery life. Apple's been working on this for over a decade, and they're still nowhere near delivering a consumer-facing experience for that. So instead, my pitch has been bottom up. How do we bring just clear, simple bits of information to your field of view? And that to me has the most promise. We can start with something really simple and basic and then build up features as we learn more about the human face. Obviously, the granddaddy in this conversation would be Google Glass. We can mock it, we can laugh at it. It definitely looks like a bad prop out of Deep Space Nine, but it was simple, practical, straightforward. You put it on and you had clear intentions for the types of information that were going to be presented in your field of view. It's really a shame that Google didn't have better ambassadors for showing that tech off. The kinds of people that were really jumping on Google Glass made a lot of other people nervous about where that tech could go. But at its core, what we have is a very simple presentation through a prism. You got a little projector and there's a little prism. It's not unlike the periscope design for some of our telephoto cameras. I'm grossly oversimplifying the optics here, but I'm just trying to explain some of those differences and where we've arrived today. A prism is straightforward, it's practical, it's not very expensive to make a prism. Issue with the prism is that it's not very discreet. On Google Glass, it stuck out in front of your field of view. People saw that there was something weird and techy floating above your eye. There is a modern day equivalent of that kind of tech presentation. I did a video on the Frame glasses by Brilliant, and there is a prism built into the glasses. It's a little more discreet. It doesn't pop out from your face. But when people see me wearing these glasses, they are very aware that there's something happening in this lens assembly here. The Frame are not being presented as a consumer-facing product though. This is a dev kit to help people build AI experiences that you might want to present up at eye level. An inexpensive dev kit, practical, simple, straightforward. We're not looking to rock the industry and replace the smartphone. Meta is not gonna replace the smartphone in the next couple of years. That's the Prism. It still totally works today. You can still find warehouse and industrial uses from companies like Vuzix. You don't need something fancy or stylish or discreet. You just need something that's gonna get that information in front of your eyeball. Moving on, over the years, we've played with other presentations of optical information and we started using projectors. One of the past best examples of that projector system would be something like the Focals by North. These now totally look a little outdated. They're real big, they're real chunky, and then on one arm you see there's this big projector cutout that does kind of encroach on your peripheral vision. But what this system did really well, there's a little projector that then beams information into a lens insert. This also helps us demonstrate perfectly one of the issues we used to have with heads-up displays or face-worn displays. This projector has to be aimed and calibrated to hit a very specific little lens insert. To do this properly, you would have to go and get your face scanned, and then these were biologically adjusted to your face and eyeball. For the user, that delivers a great experience. You put these on, they were made for your face, they're bespoke. But then I would try to take them off and give them to someone else, and it was really difficult for someone else to get a sense of what these were really like to use. A lot of gadget nerds out there really appreciate that second-hand market, which you're not going to do with something like this. The resale value on something that's biologically fit for my face, well, that kind of plummets because you put it on your face and you're not going to see what I see. That was a big stumbling block. You couldn't just try Focals by North. You had to jump into the deep end of the pool. But unfortunately, because we couldn't share that experience very easily, a lot of folks missed out on all of the cool things these glasses did right. They were a little heavy, they were a little bulky, they wore a little uncomfortably on the nose for long stretches of time. But the software, the experiences, speech to text, notifications, alerts, fun little applets and games, walking directions, just getting all of that information up at eye level and with a real pretty presentation, color graphics, animations. This was a critical and important step in the right direction. Focals by North got bought by Google. The second generation of the glasses were shelved. There was probably some inspiration from the Focals team as Google started showing off translation glasses and simple heads-up displays and notifications. But sadly, we would go years after Focals by North without any kind of significant follow-up to this kind of technology or presentation. Now, just like the Prism, we do have a modern-day equivalent of the projector system. I've recently gotten to play with the Halliday prototype. This is a prototype pair of glasses that also has a little projector built into the frame. But instead of the projector shooting information into some kind of insert that then I have to have my face measured for, the projector system here is adjustable. I can take these off my face, fiddle around with the distance and the aiming, and then someone else can put these glasses on and they can see very clearly what I can see. And also because we're not bouncing projector information onto an insert or through some other kind of reflective surface or using a prism, more of the light energy is just going directly into our eye. It's just a very clever design to use the frame of these glasses as a backstop. So even if you're like staring into the sun, the light is getting blocked by the frame and you can really clearly see your heads-up display. It's a really clever adaptation for that technology, but it's not the only way that we can get some kind of image up in your field of view. What's also become really popular over the last couple years are waveguide optics. It's a futuristic take on bending and bouncing light around, not unlike a series of tiny prisms, but they take up a lot less space and they're a lot more discreet. Earlier in the video, you might have heard me casually drop in a company named Vuzix. They make a lot of industrial solutions for heads-up displays, working in warehouses, things like that. But about 2 years ago, they started showing off a new class of product using waveguide optics, and these are the Z100. There is a little panel in this lens and there is a little projector in this arm, but it's not light beaming from a direction. It's a much larger target, a much larger surface area that's kind of right in front of the eye. And then light from a monochrome projector is kind of bent along these little ripples and patterns, and then it lands on this target for you to be able to see it, and it's focused out just a little bit more than arm's length from the viewer. Again, Vuzix is presenting this as a dev kit. This is hardware to prove the concept, and other people can work on software, really polish the experiences, but even from Vuzix's own software dev team, we've got the basics covered. We've got notifications, we've got alerts, we've got speech-to-text transcription, we've got basic translation features, all powered by your phone. As long as your phone is giving you notifications on turn by turn, those notifications pop up at eye level. If you're walking around an unfamiliar city, you're not looking down at your phone, you're looking up and you'll still know where to make that turn. Vuzix is hoping that other companies will look at this dev hardware and think of their own solutions to incorporate into other products. They'd license the Vuzix technology or use Vuzix as more of like an ODM, making the hardware and then slapping another label on it. Now, the Z100 are a monocular system. Information is only going to one eye, but that still delivers a really clear bit of information for a short interaction. When we start messing with these optical systems, it's always a balance, a list of pros and cons. A monocular system isn't going to be quite as sharp and bright and clear as a binocular system where information is going to both eyes, but it literally uses half the power of a binocular system. And for something like this, we want a solution that's going to go and hang with you all day. For my use and for the brief moments that information is presented at eye level, can go multiple days before I need to recharge them. The Z100 are available for consumers to pick up, but it's a tougher recommendation. I'm not trying to push that as a consumer-facing solution, though I think a lot of folks, especially in tech enthusiast audiences, would have a lot of fun playing with that kind of option. But I have been playing with an option from a company that is trying to push consumer-facing solutions. These are the Evan Realities Oof, they are dirty. Take two. These are the Evan Realities G1. And now we're working similar waveguide optics, monochrome projectors, and there's one for each eye. We don't quite land the battery life of the Z100, but we do have information going to each eye. The clarity improves a little bit, the brightness improves a little bit. Your eyes start melding that information together. But as we've noticed, and this is still a criticism that some folks have with VR, is occasionally there can be that little bit of sync or drift. Every now and then I'll get ever so slightly different information presented to each eye, and there's a very small window of tolerance, and that becomes a headache-inducing event. But this is building on that experience with waveguide optics, a much cleaner presentation. They look like a much nicer gadget, and there's a lot less giving away that something techie is happening on my face. Many people that I wear these around, they just assume that I've started wearing glasses for vision correction and that I have some kind of like funky bifocal happening, as you know, you will catch light on the little lens inserts for the waveguide optics. It's been exceedingly rare on the Evan Realities or on the Vuzix that anyone has caught some kind of image projection is happening. Simple, discreet, all-day battery life, and practical information referenced up at eye level when you need to see it. This is something you can keep on your face all day. It's a better gatekeeper to weed out those notifications that I can just ignore. When it comes to things like waveguide optics, right now the practical solutions are monochrome projectors. There are a couple companies like TCL Rayneo that are trying to work in more color into this presentation, but you can immediately see how much bigger, how much power is required, how much more processing is required. Those Rayneo glasses get bigger and chunkier and the battery life plummets. The more we try to pack more spatial awareness and location-aware computing directly into the frames, the less we can wear those frames as practical computing platforms. And that's why I'm so critical of all of these solutions that are looking to go top-down. We'll figure out the rich AR, and then we'll spend 20 years trying to figure out how to include enough performance with enough battery power on your face. Now think about how freaked out people get when a battery puffs on a cell phone, and now put that on your face. But to this point, everything I've been talking about is the practical stuff, right? The eating your vegetables of face computing, the I want to be aware of what's happening in my apps and services, but I want to spend less time staring at my phone screen. Well, recently there's been a whole class of new entertainment glasses. Again, companies that are trying to say that this is augmented reality, and just like these heads-up displays, that is true to a pedantic degree. Anything that augments your reality and you're staring through a lens and seeing the real world, sure, we can say that that is augmented reality. And this is what's so difficult in talking about all this stuff, is because we have every company trying to coin their own phrase. If it's spatial computing or mixed reality or XR for any kind of glasses solution. I've been trying to consistently say that face displays for notifications, well, those should be called heads-up displays. And for these AR glasses that present more cinematic experiences, I've been trying to call them cinema glasses. Something like this, which is the new XREAL One, uses big, chunky birdbath optics, very similar to a Prism. There's a little OLED in the top above each eye, and then that information is scooped through a lens so that it's projected out in space in front of you. The result is something like floating a TV in space in front of you where a TV couldn't possibly exist. Maybe you're on a mountaintop, maybe you're on an airplane, maybe you're at home and you're just wanting a big screen experience where a big screen can't live. Unfortunately, because of this design where it's really good at redirecting information down, it's also pretty good at redirecting information up. And it's not really the kind of thing I would want to wear on my face all day, taking them on long flights, a good sit-down session with your Nintendo Switch or your Steam Deck. It's a beautiful representation of that screen, and it's just floating out in space where you can get as comfortable as you want to watch that content or play that game. And the newest versions of these now have some pretty impressive computing where, powered over the USB port, there's a little chip in these glasses that can smooth out your head movements or lock your screen in place. So I can pin my screen over one shoulder, and when I look away, it stays over my left shoulder. This is not the wear them all day and get your notifications kind of experience, but when you sit down, you want to do some work on your laptop, and you want to pin a giant second screen next to your laptop floating out in space, or if you want to turn your laptop screen off and use this as something of like a privacy screen, it makes a lot of sense for the different ways people might want to work when they're on the go. And that's kind of the current slate of face displays right now. Prisms, projectors, waveguides, and birdbath optics. We have several different solutions to put information out at eye level. And right now, that is a critical need. We really do not understand a broad section of consumer faces. I've said this before in numerous videos, but we've had headphones for over a century, and we still cannot design a simple, straightforward, one-size-fits-all earbud that everyone will find comfortable and will enjoy the audio quality. Ears are really funky. We need a lot of different options for people to find the right fit earbuds and headphones for their needs and wants. Optical systems are an order of magnitude more difficult to design for. So we need all these different players in this space right now so that people have different choices and they can find the right fit for their needs. As we wrap this video up, I just have to reiterate how disappointing it's been from the earliest days of Google Glass through the Focals by North and into today. These tech conversations are simply dominated by whatever the largest brands in this space will promote. If your company doesn't have a billion-dollar ad campaign, then consumers like you probably aren't going to hear about these solutions that you can buy and try right now. And instead, you're going to have a whole bunch of tech enthusiast channels just telling you to keep waiting because eventually Apple will figure out glasses. They've been saying that since the reveal of Google Glass. They're still saying it today. We know Apple hasn't delivered anything in this space for you to try, but certainly whatever Apple might eventually deliver will be higher quality than what you can buy right now. Don't buy something now. Apple's nothing in this space is better than any other company's something in this space. And I think that's pretty lame. You could be having fun right now. And not only could you be having fun right now, but the entire slate of products that I've just showed off, you could buy one of each of these currently made glasses to try on your own and still probably have about $1,500 left over when compared against the price of Apple's mixed reality headset. One VR headset or all of these glasses with change. You'll pardon this. As another brief tangent, this is another reason why I'm so disappointed in the techie conversation on these things. You can think back to a product and a reveal like HoloLens. That was a dev kit from Microsoft to really show off augmented reality and how many people were complaining about the limited field of view. That means as you're doing all of this cool AR stuff, the screen can only occupy a very small field of your vision. Your peripheral vision isn't interacting with AR content above, below, in between. You just have this little like kind of block window right in the middle, and then you have to find the AR experiences as you move your head around. So that hasn't really changed. For something like a heads-up display where you're just getting notifications, that makes perfect sense. It's actually clean. You don't want it distracting you out to your peripheral vision. It pops up just slightly above eye level, and then it goes away. So then we start looking at what people are hyping up with Meta, because again, Meta is a much bigger name in this space. They've got Oculus, they've got the Quest line of VR headsets. You'll make more money putting Meta in the title of your video. But we still haven't solved that field of view issue. So why are we building rich AR when we were criticizing that porthole experience on HoloLens, and we're still going to be spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a headset that's only going to have a couple hours of battery life? The launch of HoloLens was roughly 8 years ago, and all Meta is showing us is that we have been able, over 8 years, to iterate and miniaturize some of that technology. We have not learned enough about the human face to solve some of the critical stumbling blocks that people were rightfully criticizing HoloLens for. And that's why Apple is opting to not do augmented reality. They're doing mixed reality with larger screens and cameras for video pass-through, just like Iron Man. Like I said before, instead we should be working bottom up. Get people used to putting lightweight frames on their face, and then every generation we can tack on a few techier new features until we have that AR future we've all been dying for. It will not happen top down. Developers have shown us they're not really interested in niche, hyper expensive dev kits. But I've been rambling on long enough. I hope this video has been helpful and informative. There is amazing tech that you can try right now. If you think about your relationship with your phone and how terrible phones really are at notifications, why we have these other accessories like watches that we can try to move parts of the experience over to, it only makes sense that we would eventually bring small snippets of visual data up more organically to eye level, where it will be less distracting than putting a phone in between you and another human being, or breaking from a conversation to look down at a watch, which is a horrifically rude gesture. So few, precious few people really know what this experience is like. Every time I put my glasses on someone else's face, it's like I've slingshotted them a decade into the future. If you've had experiences, if you've been playing around with some of this stuff, if you've been a nerd like me on the lonely end of the tech accessory landscape, drop some comments down below. Share some of your thoughts, some of your insights. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of evolution that needs to happen. There's a lot of iteration. But I think this year is showing us, especially with advancements in things like waveguides, that this tech is heading in the right direction, and more and more and more people really should be giving this a try. Obviously, I'm super passionate about this style of information delivery, and the folks who get to see the commentary first, the results of my reviews and testing and my editorials on these products, are my amazing patrons. All of the awesome people at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. There's this list of names scrolling by on your screen right now. These folks are directly responsible for helping us keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, as these reviews and videos and editorials would literally not be possible without their support. They're basically the coolest tech pals in the universe, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, basically everywhere, but these days, I'm trying to spend a bit more time on the Mastodons and the Blueskis, a lot less so on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Threads, and definitely not on that dumpster fire site. And I will catch you all on the next video.